Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is another edition of 12 Tribes United Congregation. My name is Brother Malak from the 12 Tribes of United. Today we're going to continue a lesson. We're going to do part 2 on the dietary laws, because I've showed you scriptures through part 1 about the dietary laws, and now I'm going to show you part 2. All right. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 11 and verse 32. It says, and upon whatsoever of them when they are dead does fall, meaning these animals are dead, unclean and unclean. So obviously if you're going to eat the animal, they're dead, or they can fall dead. It shall be unclean. So if any of these animals that's dead, which is the same as eating the animal, because you're not going to eat a living animal unless you're some type of savage or something, it's unclean. Meaning if it dies of itself, or if it's dead, whether it be vessel of wood, or raiment, or skin, or sack, whatsoever vessel it shall be, wherein any work is done, it must be put in water, and it shall be unclean unto the evening, so shall it be cleansed. So let's just say something unclean falls on your wood, your clothes, skin, sack. Basically, you're to wash it and it be unclean until evening. All right. So let's say some uncleanness goes on some water, goes into your skin. That's unclean until the evening, but you got to wash it. And every earthen vessel wherein any of them falleth. What is an earthen vessel? It's something made of earth, clay, mud, glass. Glass is made of sand, rock, any type of rock. That's an earthen vessel. Ceramic. All right, that's examples of earthen vessels. What's in every earthen vessel, this is 11:33, wherein any of them falleth, whatsoever is in it shall be unclean, and ye shall break it. So let's just say somebody puts some unclean food on a vessel of earth, like your ceramic plates. You're not to wash it and wait till the evening. You're to break it, because it's unclean. It can never be used again. That's an example. Or sometimes you have a microwave and somebody cooks some uncleanness in there. You're not to use that glass plate anymore. It's unclean for good. It cannot be cleansed. It has to be broken. You don't have the necessary smash on the floor, but don't use it. Throw it away. Anything that's unclean. All right. If a roach fly in your glass, if a roach or a fly in your glass and die, you're not to use it again. You cannot cleanse it again. You have to break it and never use it again. It says, of all meat which may be eaten, that which on such water cometh shall be unclean, and all the drink that may be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean. So let's just say you have a pot with water and you got some uncleanness in it. It's unclean. That's what that's saying. And everything wherein any of them, any part of the carcass falleth, shall be unclean. Whether it shall be oven or ranges for pots, they shall be broken down, for they are unclean, and shall be unclean unto you. So, if uncleanness touches any of your pots, pans, it's unclean. Let's just say you got an oven, and something happens where someone, cooks something unclean food. That oven is unclean. If it's made of metal, it could be cleansed to the evening. But if there's anything that's like a brick oven, it could never be cleansed again. Like they have brick oven pizza. You cannot eat pizza from that spot. So what does this show you? That if a restaurant that cooks unclean foods and it cooks clean food, all that food is unclean, so you cannot eat there. Here it is, you go to a restaurant, they cook a burger, Here it is, they cook some bacon on the stove, pork bacon, of course, I'm speaking of. It's made from swine. Then they turn around and they call themselves cleaning, or sometimes they don't clean it at all. Then they turn around and cook your chicken on there. That chicken is unclean, you cannot eat that. This is what they're saying. Even the fake Jews have the so-called kosher laws, which they don't fully keep the dietary laws, but they know that unclean foods and clean food cannot be mixed together, because the grills and the water and the pots and pans have uncleanness. So we're not to eat from there if it has uncleanness. You go to a restaurant, I suggest you go to a halal or so-called kosher restaurant. Why? Because they usually don't cook uncleanness there. But a regular restaurant, a regular diner, you cannot eat there. You're keeping the Most High's law. It says, in everything wherein any part of the carcass falleth, we know that when you eat an animal, it's a carcass. It's a dead carcass. You're not eating it alive. Or if the animal just fall on it and die. So anything wherein any of the carcass, part of the carcass falleth, shall be unclean, whether it be oven or ranges or pots. We already read that. All right, so this is showing you that basically we cannot eat from most restaurants, because they cook it in the same grill, the same pot, pan, utensils that they do. They mix clean with unclean. And if you just wash it and didn't use it, that's not what the scripture's talking about. You have to wait till evening. You can't just eat from there. All right. So let's go down to 39. Ye shall eat. It says, and if any beast of that which ye shall eat die. What does that mean? That means die of itself. Let's just say you have a chicken and you normally would eat it, but since it died of itself, you cannot eat that. That's what it's saying. That's why it says which ye may eat. All right, you're not to eat that. If you see any animal that you would have ate, that's clean. If it dies of itself, you cannot eat of it. More than likely, if some disease has befallen that animal, and if you eat it, you'd eat that disease. He that touches the carcass thereof shall be unclean unto the evening. So if you touch an animal that dies of itself, you unclean unto the evening. And he that eateth of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean unto the evening. He also that beareth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean unto the evening. So let's just say that you eat it. Maybe it's by accident. You didn't know the animal died of itself. Someone alerts you of that. You unclean unto the evening. Also, if you eat something unclean and you don't know it, you unclean unto the evening. Wash yourself, and be unclean unto the evening, because you become unclean by eating uncleanness. It says, to wash his clothes and be unclean unto the evening. When it says beareth the carcass of it, let's just say an animal dies of itself and you gotta go and bury it. You unclean unto the evening. Another thing, if you have an unclean animal that dies, let's just say you have a dog, a cat, and it dies, you're unclean unto the evening. All right? That doesn't mean you leave it in your house and you let it rot. You bury the animal, but you're unclean unto the evening. All right? It says, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth shall be an abomination, it shall not be eaten. What's a creeping thing? Basically what you call an insect. It said, whatsoever goeth upon the belly, what goes upon the belly? Different types of snakes, serpents, goes upon the belly. And whosoever goeth upon all four, meaning any animal that goeth upon all fours, or whatsoever hath more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them she shall not eat, for they are an abomination. Ye shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall you make yourselves unclean with them, that ye shall be defiled thereby. So the scriptures are showing you not to make yourself unclean with any creeping thing or anything unclean. It says, and it makes you defiled. So this is a way of defiling your body, defiling your temple, is by eating unclean foods. It says, for I am the Lord your God, ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves. So this is part of sanctification, by eating clean foods. It says, ye shall be holy, You can't be holy putting unclean things in your body. Neither shall you defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So you just don't eat anything. You understand? You got to keep these dietary laws. For I am the Lord that brought you out of the land of Egypt. So the Most High brought us out of Egypt. He used Moses, but it was the Most High. It was the Lord that brought us out of Egypt. To be your God, ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. All right? The Most High is holy, you're to be holy. This is the law of the beast, and of the fowl, and of every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten. So this is what we're supposed to teach our people. You know, we're supposed to teach our people the laws of cleanliness. This is an example. All right. Now we're going to go to another chapter, going into the dietary law also. Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 1. It says, Ye are the children of the Lord your God. Ye shall not cut yourselves. What does it mean to cut yourselves? Some of our people will cut ourselves. Some other nations will cut themselves for the dead, or they'll just cut themselves, period. Sometimes people, you know, they hate themselves. They have spirits on them. They start cutting their arms and cutting their legs and all that. We're not to do that. All right? Nor shall you make baldness between your eyes for the dead. What is baldness between your eyes? That's basically you shaving off the middle part of your eyebrows. That's why it says baldness between your eyes. Some people say, oh, that means don't cut yourself between your eyes. Yeah, obviously it says not to cut yourself. But this isn't talking about this. This is talking about cutting this bald. All right? You know, I have hair right here. It's not bald. All right? This is the eyebrows. But some people have that unibrow, they call it. And what they do, they make that bald. It says not to do that. And some people read the words for the dead. So they say, oh, as long as I don't do it for the dead, it's okay. No. We know that's an ancient custom. The other nations did that for the dead. All right? Or they'll cut it like a carving right here, like a scar right here. We understand that. But if you know this practice goes back for something for the dead, then why would you do that? All right? That's what the practice goes back to. Now people do it for fashion. It doesn't matter. It's still cutting yourself between your eyes. It's basically making baldness between your eyes. All right? So like your sisters like to tweeze all of this and make it bald, we're not to do that. That's against the scriptures. It tells you this right here. Don't have to be for the dead. It tells you right here, don't make baldness. So as long as you don't make it for the dead, it's okay? No. Who would know that? You have to explain yourself all the time saying it's not for the dead. Well, we know what the custom goes back to. Scriptures say, abstain from all appearance of evil. And that's evil. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto him above all nations, not equal to the nations that are upon the face of the earth. So the Most High made us holy above all the nations. It says, thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. What is the abominable thing? Everything listed in Leviticus 11. It says, these are the beasts which ye shall eat, the ox and the sheep and the goat. We can eat an ox, beast, sheep. It says the hart and the roebuck and the fallow deer and the wild goat and the pergerug and the wild ox and the camels. What is basically these are? They're in what you call the bovine family. Ox, sheep, goat, deer. There's different types of these type of animals. And every beast that parteth the hoof and cleaveth the cleft into two claws and cheweth the cud among the beasts ye shall eat. So make sure it parteth the hoof and cleaveth the cleft into two claws. So that means it has its hoof actually separates. Like into a claw. It looks like a claw, kind of. It says, and it cheweth the cud. What is chewing the cud means it eats the grass, it eats the greens, and then it cheweth it, and then it, kind of regurgitates it and spits it back. All right, brothers, I'm going to say shalom. Shalom.